Jesus' parable, the hidden treasure. Picture yourself walking through a vast open field. The sun is warm on your skin, and a gentle breeze whispers through the tall grass. You're not looking for anything in particular, just enjoying the simplicity of the day. Then suddenly, you catch a glimmer in the soil. You stop, curious, and begin to dig. Your fingers uncover the edge of something extraordinary. A chest filled with dazzling jewels, gleaming gold, and treasures beyond your wildest imagination. Your heart pounds with excitement as the realization hits. This treasure could change your life forever. But there's a problem. It's buried on land that you don't own. Now, what would you do? Would you walk away? Or would you do everything in your power to make that treasure yours? This is the scene Jesus invites us to imagine in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 44, when he says, "The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field." Now, at first glance, this may seem like a simple story, but it holds profound lessons about recognizing and responding to the immense value of God's kingdom. Let's dive deeper to understand its significance and how it applies to our lives today. Now, the treasure is a parable, and it's a symbol of the kingdom of heaven. It represents all of the blessings and promises of God, His love, grace, forgiveness, and eternal life. Jesus is teaching us that the kingdom of heaven is not just valuable, it's the most precious thing we can ever find. Think about it. The kingdom of heaven offers us peace that surpasses understanding, a purpose that endures beyond life, and a relationship with God that fulfills the deepest longings of our hearts. Yet, just like the treasure in the field, it often goes unnoticed by those who aren't looking for it. So think about that. Do we truly understand the worth of what God is offering us? How often do we settle for lesser things, temporary successes, fleeting pleasures, while ignoring the eternal treasure of knowing and living for God? Let this parable remind us to open our eyes and recognize the incomparable value of His kingdom. Now, when the man in the parable found the treasure, he didn't hesitate. He didn't weigh his options or think about how he could keep his old life while gaining the treasure. Instead, he took decisive action. He hid the treasure to secure it and sold everything he had to buy the field. Now, this part of the story emphasizes that discovering the kingdom of heaven demands a bold response. Faith is not passive. It calls us to act. And the man understood that the treasure was worth far more than everything he owned. He didn't see the cost as a loss, but as an investment in something infinitely greater. So think about that. When we encounter the truth of God's kingdom, what is our response? Are we willing to let go of the things that hold us back, whether it's pride, fear, or material attachments? Jesus calls us to surrender what is temporary in exchange for what is eternal. The question is, are we ready to act with the same urgency as the man in this parable? One of the most striking parts of this parable for me is that the man acted in his joy. He wasn't burdened or reluctant by selling everything he had. On the contrary, he was filled with excitement and anticipation because he knew the treasure was worth it. This teaches us the important truth that when we fully grasp the beauty and worth of God's kingdom, The sacrifices we make won't feel like losses. Instead, they will become acts of joy. Whether it's giving up unhealthy habits, surrendering personal ambitions, or stepping out of our comfort zone to follow God's call, we can do so with glad hearts because we know the reward is far greater. So, think about this. What sacrifices is God asking you to make for His kingdom? And you know what? Instead of focusing on what you're giving up, consider what you're gaining. Think about this. A life filled with purpose, a life filled with joy, and the assurance of God's eternal promises. When you act out of joy, you'll find that no sacrifice is too great for the treasure that God is offering you. And this treasure wasn't just lying in plain sight. It was hidden in a field. This reflects the reality that while God's kingdom is available to all, it isn't always obvious. It requires us to search, to dig deeper, and to have hearts that are open to discovering its value. Now, God often reveals His kingdom in unexpected ways, through the kindness of others, the beauty of creation, or the quiet whisper of His Spirit. But if we're too busy, distracted, or focused on worldly pursuits, we just might miss it entirely. So we have to ask ourselves, are we actively seeking God's kingdom in our daily lives? Are we taking time to pray, study His Word, and listen for His voice? Remember, the kingdom is hidden not to keep it away from us, but to invite us into a deeper, more intentional relationship with God. So, as we reflect on this parable, we are left with the important question: what will we do with the treasure of God's kingdom? Will we recognize its worth and take hold of it? Or will we walk away, distracted by lesser things? The man in the story saw the treasure for what it was, an opportunity to change his life forever. He acted immediately, joyfully, and sacrificially because he understood the value of what he had found. Now it's your turn. The kingdom of heaven is here, waiting to be discovered. It's the greatest treasure you will ever find, but it requires your whole heart, your commitment, and your joy. So as you leave here today, I challenge you to ask yourself, what is my treasure? Am I pursuing what truly matters? And most importantly, am I willing to give my all for the priceless gift of God's kingdom? I hope this story will stay with you and inspire you to seek, embrace, and live for the treasure of heaven. Let its truth shape your life, and may you too find joy in the pursuit of God's eternal promises. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to have been able to speak with you today, and I hope you have a beautiful day, my friends. I'll talk to you later. Take care.